Hello everyone, welcome back to the Roll Screen Team. I'm Andrew Thomas. I'm back with fellow doctors Christopher Johnson.
Hello everyone.
And our fellow special guest doctor, John Walston.
How you doing?
And we're back with the Troughton era. His second and best season.
Yes. Truly fantastic. Well, why don't I go ahead and get into the season proper? Mm-hmm. We start with the Tomb of the Cybermen. The Doctor, Jamie, and new companion, Victoria Waterfield, get caught up in an expedition to the planet Telos. The financiers of the expedition, Eric Clegg and Kaftan, intend to revitalize the Cybermen that are buried in underground tombs, hoping they will share their power. Next, the Abominable Snowmen. The Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria arrive in Tibet in 1935. The once gentle Yeti have turned savage and besieged a Buddhist monastery under the orders of a higher being known as the Great Intelligence. After becoming ensnared in its plans, the crew joined forces with Professor Edward Travers to stop the being and save the Earth from conquest. Then next, the Ice Warriors. The TARDIS team arrive on Earth during a new ice age after making its way into a base led by a man called Clint. The crew discovers a humanoid being in the ice that plots to revive its race and take over the world. Then, the enemy of the world. The Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria work with spies Giles Kent and Astrid Ferrer to expose the Doctor's Mexican doppelganger, Ramon Salamander, for creating natural disasters on Earth. And then, the Web of Fear. In the London Underground Railway, the TARDIS crew meet up with Professor Travers 40 years after the events of the Abominable Snowman and the British military, where they run into a new and improved Yeti controlled by the Great Intelligence, who plans to lead the Doctor into a trap where it can drain the Doctor's mind of all of his knowledge. Then Fury from the Deep. The Doctor and his companions find themselves at a Euro sea gas refinery off the coast of contemporary England, where an infectious weed spreading rapidly, infecting and mind-controlling anyone who comes into contact with it, including the refinery leader, Robson. And then, to end it all this season, the Wheel in Space. The Doctor and Jamie become stranded on a seemingly abandoned spaceship called Silver Carrier. They make contact with and board another wheel-shaped space station known as W3, only to discover that a small group of Cybermen have followed and plan on using the Wheel's radio to radio link to Earth as a beacon for their invasion fleet.
Yep, this was the best season.
Yes. Fantastic.
This season is great.
From start to finish. Fantastic.
Yep.
Um,
And most of these stories were lost for a while.
yeah. Which is crazy. Though fortunately, just like with the previous season, some of these stories were able to be revived through animation. Troughton is the one that unfortunately had to have the most amount of animations, because quite a number of his stories were either incomplete or completely missing. But with the advent of animation, a lot of these stories have really been brought back to life, and a lot of the animations have been done very well. Very well. I mean,
Yeah, I like the animations mainly for the Abominable Snowman. That was a good animation. Also like the Ice Warriors animation. I think my least favorite are between Fury from the Deep and definitely the Web of Fear one episode.
I don't know. I kind of liked Fury from the Deep as far as its animation. Plus, they were able to do a bit more as far as showing what the weeds were doing to people.
Yeah.
Though, the whole breathing on people to mind control them does look more terrifying in its proper human form than the animation.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that on our table. Look at it. But seeing as though I brought her up, why don't we get into the new companion that was introduced in Evil of the Daleks and becomes very important during this whole season. Victoria Waterfield, played by Deborah Watling. May she rest in peace. Daughter of a widowed scientist from Victoria, England, on the outside, a typically fragile lady of her era, frequently screaming when faced with the creatures the Doctor and his companions encounter in their travels. However, she has an inner strength that crops up when needed. She's young, but not naive, as she can tell when she's being lied to. And she's very sensible compared to Jamie's recklessness and the curiosity of the Doctor. Though unfortunately, Victoria tends to be the damsel in distress.
Yeah. So many times. Yeah. She's a good, mainly the one knowing when danger comes up, being like, oh, God, what are we going to do now, basically. Or,
Oh, Doctor, what are we going to do?
Yep. Or mainly, what's the famous scene is mainly her talking to the Doctor about family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tale of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Scene.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, where Doctor says he keeps all his families in his mind.
And when all I have to do is really think about them, and it's like they appear right in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
But that's the best way to keep them alive.
Yep. Where she also has flirtations with Jamie.
More than flirtations, man. I mean, come on now. Come on now, man. It was shown. Not only was Jamie very protective of Victoria, he was very fond of her. It was really implied in Fury from the Deep that he loved her.
Yeah.
And it's even been implied later on down the line when we...
Yeah.
Should I finally...
Or waiting to... Yeah.
Well, foreshadowing, we actually do see Jamie in the far distant future, and he talks about his pining and love of Victoria, wondering what she did after she left the TARDIS, and if she had a good life. Mm-hmm. He truly loved her. You don't forehead kiss someone like that if you don't love them.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's pretty heavily implied.
Plus, I think the chemistry was there because of the fact Frasier and Deborah were in a relationship for a while.
Oh, I enjoy it. The chemistry between the pair of them was actually, it was great. I mean, this was a fantastic dynamic.
Yes.
Like, this was like the predecessor to the Ponds in a really beautiful way. Like, with the...
With less of a love triangle.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
with none of that, you know.
Yeah. Tell you the truth, this is my favorite Doctor companion crew for Troughton. And I would put it in one of my top 5 favorites of Classic Who. And it would definitely be in my top 10 for all of Who.
Yeah.
I really loved the combination of the second Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria.
Yep.
It's in my top 10 as well.
So, should we discuss our top 3 favorite stories?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
I'm going with the Ice Warriors because they're one of my favorite villains. Even though I like the Cybermen, they're mainly the second Doctor's villain. I have another favorite Cyberman story next season. So, then the other one is the Enemy of the World, where you get to see Troughton's, where he got the face that he regenerated into, which was a dictator. And I like the sort of spy espionage part of it. And we also get to see Troughton fight himself briefly at the end of it, which doesn't end so well with one of the Troughtons.
Yeah.
And also directed by featured producer Barry Letts, who directed this. And then my last one is The Web of Fear. I think it's the better sequel to the Abominable Snowman, the better Yeti and Great Intelligence story until the Smith era, where we actually see the Great Intelligence be really creepy and stuff. You can hear the Shining music that they use at the beginning with the Yeti. You actually get introduced to the military, who will soon be playing a bigger part in the next season.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. And so you guys...
For me, Tomb of the Cybermen, man. It is fantastic. That story is so fantastic. That was the episode that truly engrossed Matt Smith into Doctor Who. This was the story that helped create his version of the Doctor. It's that good. Plus, on top of it, it actually does have an actor that we have talked about before. Should I talk about it now, or should I wait?
Wait for the next season.
Some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Plus, this was also the story that introduced the Cyber Controller and the Cybermats. Both two very important entities within the whole Cyberman idea.
Yeah. Very iconic.
Yes.
Very iconic.
And I do have to give them credit on what they did with the Cyber Controller. Even though, due to black and white, you really couldn't see it, them having that pulsating brain in the dome, it was actually really cool. And the fact that the Cybermen actually had a leader. You know, it's not just a ragtag crew. No, there's a straight-up leader. There are followers. And then you got Cybermats also doing their bidding, sneaking around the base and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Next, I would agree with you with the Ice Warriors. They are just as important as the Cybermen as far as some of the best villains Troughton faced. Though it is interesting how over time the Ice Warriors would end up becoming more morally ambiguous in the following Doctor's era. But them initially as bad guys, oh yeah, they were fearsome. They were formidable. I understand why Victoria was screaming her lungs out. And for my third favorite, I would also agree with you with the Web of Fear. As much as I loved the Abominable Snowmen and what they did with the animation, the Great Intelligence was much more intimidating in this story. Mm-hmm. And I do like the redesign of the Yeti. You know, them having eyes and a mouth and, you know, them using this gun to shoot all these deadly webs.
And the Great Intelligence possessing more than one person.
Yeah, which showing how powerful the Great Intelligence is.
Yep. And you?
For me, I'd say the Web of Fear. Mm-hmm. But then I would also mirror you guys on the Ice Warriors. Like, that is so iconic. Like, that story's fantastic. I remember my introduction to the Ice Warriors as a character was during the Matt Smith era. You know, so it wasn't like, this wasn't my first. But, like, I love both portrayals. Like, I love seeing that you know, darker, more militaristic side. And then there's also, you know, the fact that, I mean, these guys are a legitimate civilization. And the scope and scale of them, you know, maybe there's not a whole lot of them left, but, you know, they're really cool. And then for my number one, I would have to say, without a doubt, is Tomb of the Cybermen. Like, that episode for me did a lot for Doctor Who in general. Like, in so many ways. Like, it was like how it firmly cemented the scope, scale, and sheer immemoriality of the Cybermen. How they can just go into stasis, you know, and wait for some idiots to roll up on them and just unleash, you know, cyber civilization just in the blink of an eye. Like, they're such a prevalent threat, and there was so many, like, you know, eerie, creepy tones in that episode. Like, I mean, this episode was, in my opinion, quite ahead of its time. The speech with Victoria is one of the most heartwarming moments in all of Who up to this point. For me, I really loved it. It shows how charming Patrick Troughton really is. The episode's not without its flaws, don't get me wrong. I mean,
there's one time where you see the cables.
Yes, I was going to reference that. You know, and you can't really hold stuff like that against classic Who. You know, I mean, the ideas are so huge, and the ideas are so beautiful that, like, you know, stuff like that doesn't really matter. But
and still the Cybermen voices.
You know, yeah, but they weren't, in my opinion, that bad in that episode. Like, it didn't really take away from the scene for me.
True.
Like, I felt like it was intimidating. Like, I put myself in their shoes and I was like, this is intimidating. Like,
yeah, I will give you that.
And Patrick Troughton sold that. Like, he sold how much of a threat they are. Like,
I mean,
these people, you know.
I mean, he says both, when I say run, and oh my giddy aunt during that story.
Yeah, and then we also have a couple recurring actors, which we'll talk about in the next review.
Yes.
Also.
And we're also introduced with a new companion.
Yeah. Who we'll also talk about in the next review.
Yes. Though, I do have to say the one thing that I am upset about is the fact that they have not fully animated all of the Wheel in Space.
Yeah.
They've only animated the first episode.
Yeah.
So I'm really wondering why they have not gone and finished animating the rest of the story.
Maybe they will after they're done doing Celestial Toymaker.
Which I am very happy that they're finally doing.
Or stop colorizing other stories.
I don't well, I'm not against the idea of them doing colorization. I would like the idea of having black and white and color as options.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I like them both being options, but the colorization I saw actually was pretty beautiful.
Yeah, especially for the Abominable Snowman.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, excellent.
that was
I'm
fantastic.
more of a purist that should just stay in the era that it was until we actually get to the upcoming Doctor.
Where everything became color.
Yeah.
I'm with that, but like if it's done very well to the point where it's almost indistinguishable, I can sell it.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you have different opinions, go find us on Facebook, The Real Screen Team. Where else?
You can also find us on Reddit, Instagram, and TikTok.
And make sure to like our videos, comment on our videos, whether it's spam, trolling, whatever. Tell us that you've never seen a classic Doctor Who story. Ask
Wait.
for suggestions.
What are you doing with your lives?
Yeah, if you haven't, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You got to watch Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah, share our
If you're here and
videos.
you haven't watched Doctor Who yet, watch Doctor Who first.
Yes.
Come back.
share our videos, and make sure to get your friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have told them about us already.
Yeah.
Because we're at 214 question mark, give or take, for when this comes out.
Hey, we're trying to grow to 500. We can end up doing a lot more great work, update everything. It could be a really good thing.
That'd be great.
So now we're going to his final season.
Yes. The one that unfortunately went through a lot of issues behind the scenes.
So,
But thank you all for watching. Definitely come back and watch us again. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and click the post notification bell if you're already subscribed so you can be updated with all of our new videos. Well, cut, print, that's a wrap.